they were preparing my son Robert to be transferred to Louisiana for, to get him the help that he needed for his heart, because they didn't have that in Amarillo. And January the 7th, they decided to go ahead and do that, transfer him to where he needed to go. We had to make arrangements who was going to go first and who was going to stay with Marcella, and then rotate back and forth every week or every month, how we needed it. And that day when they were preparing him, and his dad was supposed to leave with him. No, actually, I was going to leave with him first because I wanted to.
Tell us who him is. Make sure you say names when you said they were preparing him. Who?
They were preparing Robert, my son, to actually get him, to Louisiana. I was going to leave because I wanted to make sure that they got him in there, comfortable, and literally made it there. Okay. So we were waiting in the waiting room while they were preparing my son, and a firefighter showed up, and he said, "I'm looking for the mother." And my mom was like, everybody was like, "She's in there in that little," it was a room that we were sitting at. So it was my mom's aunt behind her, my mom standing up, I was sitting down, and my mom was playing with my hair. Then it was a table in between us, and there was my ex, the father of my children. Then it was his mom, and then it was his family all the way around the room, and all my family was outside the room. And so anyway, the firefighter comes. He goes, "Firefighters from our department got some money together because I knew that you might need it since you're going to be leaving, and so I'm here to give you the check." And so we hadn't done no funeral yet or anything because the doctor told us just to wait. And so he handed me the check in an envelope, and I folded it up and I gave it to my mom. I said, "Here, put it in your pocket and use it for whatever you need for the funeral. I'll be okay." And so they're still preparing my son. And then when the firefighter asked, could he go see the kids, to go see Marcella and Robert, my uncle said, "Yeah, I'll take him. I'll take him to the back, and you just wait right here." And so he escorted him to the back, and as he's taking him to the back, his mom, my ex mother-in-law, asked me how much the check was. And so I turned around and looked at my mom. I said, "Mom, how much is the..." No, at first I told her I didn't know. And she said, "Well, why does she get to hold it?" And so I said, "Because she's going to give it to whatever's needed in the funeral." And so I'm sitting in my, in my head really? Why are we talking about this? Yeah. And so my mom, she can't really understand English. So she was like, "What is she asking you?" And so she wants to know how much the check is. So her aunt, my mom's aunt, was like, "Why does she want to know?" And so I said, "I don't know." I said, "But can you see how much the check is?" And Mama goes, "No." She goes, "Because it's not for her." Right. And so she was like, "I want to know how much the check is." Mom's like, "No." So I was like, my son is about to get transferred. Y'all over here like a check, like, people please. It's just money. And so I finally was frustrated, I guess. And so I looked at his mom and I said, "I don't know how much the check is. You discussed that with my mother." And because I spoke to her loud, I guess, he forgot where he was and he snapped. So at the same time he's jumping up to try to punch me, my uncle walks by, the one that escorted the firefighter, walks by and sees him. And he's like, "What are you doing?" So the next thing I know, he calls all my other uncles, all my male cousins and everything. He's like, "This dude's tripping in here." So the next thing you know, my family is fighting his family. His brother jumps in, so they jump in his brother and him. And they're talking about, "She's not alone. We are here." And so they literally fist fighting, so they had to call security. So my mom is fighting my ex mother-in-law. And so my aunts jump in, and so everybody fighting everybody. And so only one of her sisters is like, "This is crazy. This should not be happening." And so when they called the security and they calm everything down, they escort his family out. They told him, "You got to go because, they've been here since day one. We haven't seen your family. You got to go." And so they escort his family out, and he stayed because the nurse came and said the doctor wants to talk to both of the parents. And so they walk us to the back. He goes, but he doesn't want to talk to nobody but the parents. Okay. So we're looking like, okay, like this is ridiculous over some money and stuff. So we go back and there's a room. And so I'm thinking the doctor's going to tell us, hey, we're about to take him. You got to prepare yourself. You want to go say, bye to Marcella before we take him. And what he tells me is, we just lost your son from a heart attack.
Oh my God. Ooh.
So I look at my ex and I said, and here you are fighting over a check. So he said, you can go see him before they take him. So I run out and I go tell my family. And I remember when I busted the door, my sister was standing to my right and my brother-in-law was facing me. And I said, we just lost Robert. He's gone. And they're like, what do you mean? They took him like on the helicopter? I said, no, he's gone. Like he's gone, dead. And so I told him, y'all can come see him, say goodbye. And so the firefighter was still there in the room. I remember him being in the corner. And so they handed me my son so I can, hold him before they take him away. And they told us, take your time, spend as much time as you want with him. And so they take him. And the next day, the funeral home calls me and say, hey, we have to plan the funeral because we can't keep these babies here this long. But then the funeral home was like, if Marcella passes away, they would just have to have a separate funeral for her. So I said, okay, fine. Let's plan it. Let's do it. Whatever. So my mom's like, what do you need us to get? So, people stepped in, got them their clothes that they needed for the funeral, everything that they needed. And, they tell me that she's doing bad. So they had to put tubes from her neck all the way. Marcella was doing bad all the way because her lungs were collapsed. So she was losing air. So it was going under her skin. So she was like flaring up. So they had to put tubes on her body so that the air will rotate and, come out. And so they had to switch her IV because the IV where she had it was already, having it there too long. They had to switch it around. So I think they ended up putting it in her leg. And so I stayed there with her. I did not leave until it was time for the funeral.
Okay. So you've lost 3 children. You have a child that survived Marcella.
Yes.
Marcella, when you hear all that has transpired with your mom and your father, even re-hearing it again today, tell us how you're feeling and learning more about it. What effect has it had on you?
Every time I hear it, it has the same effect. Like I said, I'm stuck between 2.
Yeah.
And it really sucks because it's your mom and your dad.
Yeah.
You want to be there for your mom. You don't want to go against your dad.
Of course.
Hearing your siblings is gone, it sucks.
Do you remember any of this at all?
No, which you would think would make a person feel better because, hey, you don't remember it. No harm done. But it actually, in my opinion, it's worse because you have no memories of nothing. Like, I have no memories with my sister, my brother, my youngest sister. I have none of that. And I don't want to blame the fire, but I do believe because I was in the fire and the damages that it caused, I lost those memories. And it sucks because every time I go to Amarillo or every time someone from my mom's past sees me, they're like, hey, I remember you. And then they tell a memory and I'm just sitting there like, I have none.
Wow.
How does that? And so that makes you feel sad. It makes you feel
Sad, angry, all the worst feelings that you could feel.
And when you hear your mom talk about it now, again, you feel like you're in the middle of it. As a female, though, let's just take it out of mom mode and just think female and relationship and remove your mother and father out of the equation and just deal with the domestic violence part. Have you ever experienced any of that?
No. But like you said, as a female, I think that's why I ride so hard for my mom, because at the end of the day, I'm a woman.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear male or female going through this, but to hear your mom going through it and then seeing her, because she's overcame it, but you can still see the emotions play from her.
Definitely.
And that's what gets me in my emotions.
Yeah. So do you feel like the Lord protected you from this? Like, how do you internalize what happened from your being here today?
I'll let you know once I internalize it.
So are you not internalizing it? Tell us that.
I'm working through it still.
Okay.
It's a process.
So do you have thoughts at all? Do you ever think, why am I still here? Or what is my purpose because I'm here? Do you have those kinds of questions at all?
All the time.
Okay. And you're telling me you're in that process of still trying to figure that out. That's what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
I used to have that thought all the time. Why am I here? I mean, I used to hear my mom cry through a closed door for the other 3 kids that she lost. So, I mean, you're a kid, you don't understand. Like, your mom loves you. She's just crying for her losses. But at the time of you being a kid, it's like, why am I here if she misses the other ones? Yeah. And so that was a thought a lot. Being older, you know, I started vocalizing and expressing to my mom. So those thoughts don't come as often. But I have 3 kids. I gave birth to 3 beautiful kids. Why me and not my sister? Why not my brother? I get to see my kids grow up. Why not them? I get to see my mom, you know? So it's not like a why me. It's sad instances for me. It's just why couldn't they do it too?
And you may not ever get the answer to that. You know, the thing about the Lord is we don't know why he allows the things that he does, but I can say from your mom's testimony and from your life that it has been a testimony and a blessing to so many people who have just heard the overcoming and how the Lord spared you for whatever reason. And you are now saying that you're going hard for your mom. What does that mean? What does that mean when you go hard for her?
I mean, I'm gonna ride for my mom regardless.
Yeah.
When I say that, like I said, you're stuck between 2. But at the end of the day, we're all adults. People know what they did. I'm not gonna elaborate on that. At the end of the day, I still have love and respect for every family member, each and every one of my parents. But also, with that being said, we all know our actions. And my mom's had my back from day one. She had my back when she didn't have her own back. And if you ain't been there to know that, that's more than what anybody else can give you. They can give you something that they couldn't give themselves at that time. So I owe her the world for that, because she was trying to deal with me and she couldn't even pick herself up.
Amen. So Elizabeth, when you hear your daughter sharing these things and thinking about all the things that you've had to overcome, how have you been able to assist her through this process? Because I know it's been a process for you too, but what has that looked like with you and her?
You know what I've told her, you know, I never made her choose, even though at times I'd be like, yeah, you need to choose. But I never did tell her, you know, hey, you got to choose me or your dad. I will always tell her, never hold what happened or he did to me over him, because you have to build that relationship up. I told her she's here miracle because she's not supposed to be here. So God gave her a second chance of life. I believe that her platform and her purpose is greater than mine, just because she's God's walking miracle. You know, she always said, I didn't get to have memories with my my siblings, my sisters and my brothers. I said, but God bless you so that you can have those memories with your kids, because you have two boys and a girl, that you can build those memories that you didn't have with your sisters and your brothers. So God never takes, and he gives you back the blessings. I told her, she has to take her time. I do tell her counseling is like number one. Find someone that you can connect with and talk to, because I believe this right here is her first time even speaking about it publicly.
Wow.
That this is her first step to healing. You know what I mean? Because her healing and my healing are two different things. Her walk and my walk and areas are same, but it's different because I'm not a survivor from losing my siblings, but I'm a survivor of domestic violence. But she's a survivor of losing her siblings, and that's probably the guilt that she carries, like, why me? And I was like, why not you? God chose you as a soldier. And he, their work was done, and when she asked me, what do you mean by that? I said, Mercedes saved my life. Her job here on earth was done.
Wow.
My son, he brought laughter back in my life. His work was done. And Angelica, from keeping me from depression and keeping me in the bed, she cried to get me out of the bed. Her work was done. But your work is not done yet.
Wow.
So, we always have to look at it as there's a reason for everything. And so God chose her because her work is not done. You know what I mean? And so I walk with her. I tell her, talk about it. Even if it gets hard, cry through it like I have. I remember when I first started talking about this, I was like the ugly cry, like, like no words were coming out. Just like, give me a minute. Now I cry because I see myself come a long way. Like I see her coming a long way. You know what I mean? So I tell her, take your time, but don't take too long, because there's someone out there waiting on her voice.
So Elizabeth, I want you to tell the audience your process of, you had to bury 3 children. You lived through the domestic violence and the outcome of what happened with your children. I don't know if we completely talked about that. I want to talk about it a little bit more in the sense of the fire that happened. Did the fire start where your husband was, or was it just within the building?
It started actually at the apartment that he was in. A blanket got too close to the fireplace that he had, and it caught on fire. And so he was outside in the back of the building. And the way the building is built, you can't see the front from the back. So it started in the front.
So there were 4 children in the house, and there was an adult outside, and there was not an adult inside with the 4 children.
Correct.
And a fire started while he was not in the house.
Correct. He was in the back.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's a lot. That's a lot. Because the oldest child was how old?
She was 4.
She was 4.
And then Marcella was 3. Then my son was 1. And then the baby was 7 months at the time. And she was actually found on the couch, where the couch was caught on fire. Okay. So when we went back to the apartment to get what we could, you could see her little body print.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's a whole nother conversation in itself, just the dynamic of children being left to themselves, and him knowing that you were coming to get them, and the blanket catches on fire. That's just a lot for even a person listening to take in. So you went through that and you buried your children. After that, tell me, I don't know if I'm going to call it a healing, but how did the transition happen from the pain of that coming into where you are now?
After that, I was angry at God. I'm going to keep it real.
Yeah.
I was really angry. People would come to me and pray, and I'm like, I'm angry right now. I know who he is. I love him.
Yeah.
But I'm angry right now. It took just the walk. Even though I knew he was there, God was there, I just still was like, I don't want to talk to you right now. So I'm going to put you right over here, and I'll talk to you when I'm ready. Him going to jail, my ex going to jail for an incident that he did. That's another chaos, because we had chaos at the funeral. But he was arrested for an outfit he had at the funeral. He broke into somebody's house, and so he revoked his parole, whatever, and he was sent back to prison. To me, that was my escape, where I had to take action then. So I filed for divorce because it didn't give him the opportunity to fight me, because he lost all his rights. So I filed for divorce so that I could be divorced before he got out. I started to find me, but I couldn't. I just didn't know who I was. I was already broken. Then from broken to a mother with a hole in her heart. Trying to get myself together so I can be strong for her, for Marcella. So I was really trying to put pieces together that didn't connect.
Yeah.
And so...
so what came along? What happened?
I met my now husband, and at the time I met him in 90... I knew of him, but I didn't meet him until 96. Really start talking to him in 96. But we were good friends. And he would just you got to pray. You can't walk away. You got to push through. And he would always tell me, there's a purpose. You have a great purpose. You're called to be great. And he would always tell me, you're the key. You're set to be, the breakthrough to someone else. And I would look at him like, you don't understand. You never lost any kids. You never been in an abusive relationship. And he would be like real patient with me. He's like, you have to walk. You can't stay stuck. You know what I mean? You have to step forward. And so I started to, going to church. And then I started not going to church. And it's just like the in and out. Like, I don't know if I should be doing this and stuff. But it was really my husband now that walked me through it. He was my prayer warrior. He sat there for hours and talked to me. And I know I probably like, oh my gosh, she said this already. But, he would just be like, you have to walk.
Letting you talk.
Yeah, he's like, you got to push through it. And finally saying, I got to find who I am. And when the opportunity was for me to leave Amarillo and move to Dallas, because he was transferred to Dallas from his job, I took that opportunity, even thinking if it doesn't work out with him, I'm still away from where it happened, where my past is at. I was trying to run away from it.
Yeah.
And here's where I started finding my journey, my walk. I started going to church with him in 2020. 2000. I started going to church with him at Agape. And it's when I started to be like, I want to know more. I want to know more about this healing. I want to be healed. I want to be healed. I want to find who Elizabeth is, what Elizabeth likes, what Elizabeth doesn't like, what style she likes, what style she doesn't like. So I started finding myself here in Dallas.
And so I'm going to go back a little bit again and say, if you were telling a woman in this situation, looking back at your past, and you could warn them about relationships or different things like this, as far as possibly dealing with an abuser or any attributes of those kind of physical things happening in a relationship from the beginning, the signs, what would you tell women to look for? How would you tell them to respond? Give us that wisdom.
What I would say to look for, the signs that I would say will be the controlling, because they will control you first before they do anything. They start to first charm you, like he's the nicest guy, she's the nicest woman, because a man too. But then when they start to tell you, I don't like how that looks, I don't like how you wear that when you've been wearing this when you were dating them, keeping you away from your family, your friends, controlling how much you go out with them, timing you. checking your phones, checking your locations. That's controlling. That's a sign right there.
Those are not pink flags. Those are red flags.
Real red.
Like red.
Keep going.
And then if you end up in the relationship, even after you see those signs, you're in it right now, the abuse, and they come and apologize, I won't do it again. 100% they're going to do it again. You can't save them and you can't change them. And I thought I could change her father and I couldn't. He has to want to change himself or herself. So what I would say is that you have to find an escape. I know sometimes when a victim leaves, it's more dangerous when you're trying to leave than it is you being in the home because abusers feel abandoned. If you leave them, you're literally abandoning them, so they don't like that, and they can easily, 60% you're gonna end up dead.
Yeah.
So make a plan on how to leave, who to leave, where to go. Find you some counseling once you leave, because that mental and that verbal and that emotional, it's really hard to get over than a bruise on your arm, because that's something that marks you. For years I thought I was worthless
On the inside.
on the inside. Even though my husband now would tell me, you are beautiful, I would see myself and I was like, you're so ugly. Because that's the things that was said to me. And my husband's like, I don't understand where you see the ugliness. Everybody sees beautiful.
Your current husband will be telling you how beautiful you are.
My current husband would tell me how beautiful I was, but I wouldn't believe him. I said, you're just my husband. You're supposed to say those things. He's like, no, because that's what the world sees. And it's hard to erase those marks. It really is.
Wow.
But I would say those signs will be the controlling part. That's how they control you first. That you think they just want to spend time with you, but in reality, they're trying to pull you more and more to his world, to her world of just you and him. Where they control you away from everybody.
And so speak to where you are in the Lord and how that has assisted your walk.
Man, let me tell you, God has been amazing.
Yeah.
You can't tell me not. I finally said yes to him, and the healing has been amazing. I look back to the old me, and I'm just like, you come a long way. You have come a long, long way. And so, saying yes to him has put me in platforms that I didn't think I was worthy. Because I'm like, I'm not a woman that has a title. I'm not a woman that has, I didn't get to graduate from high school. Wow. So I'm like, I don't have that education. I mean, I got to 12th grade, but then after that, I was a mother. You know what I mean? So I didn't get my high school diploma, so it's like, I didn't think I belonged in that platform with these wonderful women, but now God's like, why not? Why not you?
Wow.
And so he has opened up platforms. He's shown me visions that it's just like, wow, okay. That I had to believe that you're called to be there.
Yeah.
You're called to do that. And so I started a nonprofit organization for domestic violence called Stand Together Against Nationwide Domestic Violence. We're located in Arlington, Texas, and we help victims of domestic violence. We actually connect with the family that's in the shelters, and we help them on their walk while they're in there and after they leave the shelter. Because I noticed by serving the shelters, I noticed that they don't, once they leave, this kind of like the help leaves. So we come in and we're like, no, we're going to walk this walk and we're going to complete this walk. So we come and help them find jobs,
good.
Counseling, tutoring for the children. We make sure that they keep that walk. And then through our organization, we have a program called Born with the Purpose that actually mentors the youth so that we can stop the cycle from repeating itself. Because, like I said, serving in the shelters, I noticed that the attention goes more to the adults than it does the children. So you got these children growing up with anger that if you heal that, then you have the cycle not repeating itself.
Yeah.
So we're the only organization that's actually allowed to take the youth out of the shelters and go do things with them, positive things, to show them something different.
That's beautiful.
So I've stopped hiding. God is like, you need to be speaking. So I've been doing some speaking engagements, and actually my first international speaking engagement is coming up in November.
Wow. Congratulations.
Yes.
Love it.
So
I'm going to Lima, Peru.
Wow.
So I'll be speaking there.
And you have a book?
Yes, and I do have a book. I finally had to write a book. My ghostwriter, Angie, helped me. And we cried through it all. And then, you know, like lashes came off. And, you know, so...
What's the name of the book?
It's called No Trespassing. You can find it on Amazon.
No Trespassing.
Yes, but the reason I chose that title because I told my ghostwriter, I said, hey, we got to go back to Amarillo. I got to face my past. But I have to go back to the home that everything, the last time he beat me and the last time the kids were alive. And once I'm there, I said the house has to be in the book somewhere. And so we went and we took pictures in front of the house. And she said, it has to be in the book cover. You coming away from it. And so I looked at it and said, I don't have a title yet. You know, we have everything. We have the book ready. We have, you know, the cover, but there's no title. So as we were looking, there was a sign behind me that said no trespassing. And so I looked at her and said, that's it. That's the name of the title. And she looked at she's like, why? She said, because when you finally say yes to God and you face your past and you give it to God, it's now in his territory. You can't turn back and trespass in his area. So he has a big sign saying, no trespassing. It's mine. So I called it No Trespassing from Darkness to Light because I'm walking away from my past to my present and to where God has taken me.
Love it.
Glory,
So good.
When I tell you that is so powerful.
It is.
I mean, just you and Marcella, just to see the processes that y'all have gone through and to have you here is such a blessing. I just pray that the Lord just continues to elevate you to share more with more women.
Yeah.
And that they would really take heed to your words of wisdom because it's so amazing that you are here and that the Lord is using you. And it is important for you both to talk about it because, again, you are the blessing. You are the blessing that he decided to leave behind. And you are an overcomer. The fact that you are sitting here with us today, you are here supporting your mom, and this is one of your first times talking about this to the public, and the fact that you're just here supporting your mom, that is such a blessing in itself. So we're just happy to have you both here and to have had the opportunity for you to be so honest with us. We just are so grateful with that. Chyna, do you want to say something at all?
I am just blown away by how brave you both are to be so open and transparent. I admire it because it's hard to do that and to let everybody in. See all of you. So I'm just happy and proud of y'all because I know it's not easy.
Yeah.
And the revelation that we just saw was you helped save your mom's life. That is a word. You helped save your mom's life. And my sister, who's the director over there, she put that up on the board because when I read it, I thought, that is so good. And you shared that about your babies. The ones that aren't even here, they had a purpose. And yours is here now to save somebody else's life because you can tell the process. Even though you don't have the memory of it, you're very clear on what has happened. And then I feel like yours, too, is dealing with unconditional love. Because you've gone through all of that, but you still love both your parents, which is a beautiful thing in spite of, because, you know, again, we're not one to hold people and judge them in the sense that we can do something to them or we can control what happens to them. But the Lord has that in control. But the fact that you have heard and have gone through this whole process and you still love your parents, I think that's a beautiful thing. You know, again, we cannot control how we feel about people. And so I believe that's a part of your testimony. So again, I just look forward. Go ahead, love. Say what you want to say.
Oh, no.
I thought you was about to say something myself.
No, I was about to say just thank you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk. It definitely is the first time talking. But yeah, I mean, it's my mom.
Well, we love you and stuff. And you still love all of it.
Yes.
Okay, well, Chyna, tell the people how they can stay connected to us.
So you can come and watch us on YouTube every Wednesday at 9 a.m. And you can also listen to us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And when you do that, make sure you subscribe, like, comment, let us know your thoughts on what you've heard and if you've gone through any domestic violence and how you've dealt with it and how you've overcome it. So yeah.
And we'll make sure we add the link on the end of the show to get the book.
Yes.
No Trespassing.
Yes.
Trespassing as well, because we want to make sure that you all are ordering this book. We want to support Elizabeth in this journey, her and her daughter, and just continue to pray for them in this process and to ask the Lord just to continue to expand their territory, as well as just continue to give them wisdom, because again, this is a beautiful process, and to have been a part of it today has blessed us. So we pray that it is blessing you at the same time. So again, you can watch us each Wednesday at 9 a.m. on YouTube. So make sure you subscribe. We need the subscribers.
Why y'all not subscribing?
Yeah, that's all we're saying. Where y'all at?
Okay.
But this has been such a blessing. And we are about to left.
Yes.
Are y'all ready to say the outro?
Okay, we're about to left.
Okay, here we go.
Okay.
Okay then. Bye then.